Kamala Harris won't speak to the media. She gives these, very friendly sit downs to people who she knows are avid Kamala Harris fans. That joke of an interview on CNN and then the Oprah thing. She now most recently sat down with Wired, and what Wired did was ask her a bunch of questions that had become memes on the internet, like, tell us about your laugh. Tell us about what makes you joyful. It's just so frustrating.
Hard-hitting stuff.
Yeah. And then you get this. Okay, Peter Alexander, the White House correspondent for NBC News, goes to the White House, and maybe he could ask some tough questions of Kamala Harris. Maybe he could ask some tough questions of Joe Biden, who had yet another senior moment, to put it charitably, this weekend. No, what does he do? He sits down. He gets a tour of a replica of the White House from Dr. Jill Biden. And they let this guy do this as though he's breaking real news. Just watch what substitutes now for real journalism in America. SOT 9.
Joining us for this special tour.
Hi, how are you?
Dr. Biden, welcome to the White House.
Yes.
Someone who knows the place well, the First Lady.
The public tours take you these 2 floors. You live on that one. Does that look pretty? Is that right on?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah?
Really. I don't
The bed's made, so.
The bed's always made. It's perfect up there. Why don't you try to sit in the presidency?
I mean,
Here we go.
If the First Lady asks, I think I sort of have an obligation to.
We'll get a picture of you.
Oblige. Here's.
So it's a fake Oval Office. I'm sorry. Like, if they had given this to some puff, but this is the White House correspondent, Vivek. The fails on the journalists are too many to count at this point. And I really do feel it's a thumb on the scale.
Well, it's more than a thumb on the scale. It's a bit of a philosophy, Megyn. And this is one of the core themes in my book. And you're talking about that as lies, as artifice. I named the book Truths for a reason. One of the things that I actually exposed towards the start of this book hits this head on, which is that even if you take the CEO of NPR, for example, one of the things that she has publicly said is that in some cases, our obsession with the truth may stop us from pursuing more important objectives like bringing people together. Now, you and I may get irritated about that, but before we're angry about it, let's just analyze what's at its core. It is a skepticism of the importance of pursuing truth itself. It is a goal, but on a list of goals and priorities where that may not at times be the top priority. That's a worldview. So when I'm watching that video, that's exactly what I'm seeing, which is that their goal, to sort of try their clothing on, is to bring people together. That's what they will say. And sometimes an obsessive fixation on the truth, that's what NPR CEO had to say, distracts us from doing what may be more important. That's a debate. It's a debate worth having. We can be angry about it, but my own view, and I suspect you share it, is that actually the path to bringing people together runs through truth, the pursuit of truth, runs through free speech and open debate, runs through the path of getting to the bottom of what's actually going on rather than giving people the sense that they're being lied to. That actually divides people and pushes them apart, even though the truth is at times uncomfortable. So, in any case, one of the things I try to do in writing this book is I want to expose those best arguments for the other side, because we can complain about the media all we want. Are they biased? Are they putting their thumb on the scale? Yes, they are. But there's a root philosophy on the other side that we're up against, and it is one that is skeptical of, if not the existence of objective truth, which some are, it's skeptical of the importance of pursuing it when that comes into conflict with other goals that they deem to be more important. In the case of NPR CEO, I at least give her credit for airing that and being open about that fact, whereas others actually are skeptical of the importance of pursuing truth but try to pretend like they still are. It's a deeper ideological, philosophical debate about what is the role of the news media. Is it to seek and provide access to truth, or is it something else? And if it is something else, okay, that's a view. Let's talk about it in the open. That's one of the things that I aim to do in this book, and it's part of the reason why, especially after having run for president last year and seen the media front row from a different seat, I really felt compelled to do, which is why we put this out.
Here is Peter Alexander doing his job behind the scenes after, what was it? It was at the DNC, it was after the DNC. So the White House correspondent for NBC News finds himself with exclusive access to Kamala Harris, newly anointed as the Democratic nominee. And does he, at least in that setting, shout a tough question at her? Here's what happened.
How do you feel tonight?
I feel good. Now on to tomorrow.
It was good to see you last night, yeah.
Congratulations.
Kelly O'Donnell of NBC.
Governor Walz, Mrs. Walz, congratulations.
Thank you.
It felt good. I mean, listen, we've got 75 days to go. So maybe for better and for worse, that's the way I am. Like, that was good, and now we got to move on.
We got to do enjoy one night. Nice to see you
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, guys. It's good to see you guys. Thank you.
It's like they work for the campaign. It's like they work for, I mean, that's your chance to just ask one tough question. Just ask one tough follow-up. Vivek, there's something in the news today showing that she was asked about whether she still holds her earlier espoused position on amnesty for so-called dreamers, and she refused to answer. She refused to answer Axios. They just wouldn't take a position. She was asked, her campaign was asked, because she doesn't get asked anything, whether she still stands by she wants the taxpayers to fund sex change operations for illegals and also prisoners. And their position was, that's not something she has said in this campaign, with no acknowledgement of her latest position as espoused by her is that she's in favor. She's never said she reversed it. So, right, this is the disrespect of the American voter that we just don't get to know. They have no entitlement to understand her positions.
It's just, so there's two things going on. One is that they believe her positions don't matter. In some deeper, ironic sense, Megyn, that kind of is true, actually. I don't really see her as an ideologue anyway. I see her as a cog in a system. She's another puppet, like Biden was a puppet. Frankly, like most politicians and even historical presidents have often been puppets. She's another puppet that's going to be wielded by the special interests that have put her up. So in a certain sense, there's like a deep, ironic truth to the whole thing that her positions don't actually matter. But put the cynical view to one side. The other thing is the disparate treatment of a lot of her statements versus things that Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or whoever have said, right? So you hear about the conflicts in, the media's uproar over claims of what's happening with Haitians in Springfield. You get a cats and dogs controversy or whatever. What about Kamala Harris making completely unfounded claims, even in this campaign, that women are bleeding in parking lots? Just can you provide one instance of that actually happening? That's a pretty severe thing to say is happening in the streets of America, in front of healthcare clinics, that women are left to bleed in the parking lots. It's exactly stuff that she's said. Pretty graphic, pretty specific, not a shred of evidence to suggest that type of thing is happening. So on one hand, if somebody makes an off-the-cuff comment about what's going on with Haitians in Springfield, that's going to be the entire news cycle for an entire week, supposedly fact-checking that, without an iota of even fact-checking the things she has said even during this campaign, many of which are factually just downright false. There isn't a shred of evidence to support it. And so I think the thing that's going on with Kamala Harris, a few things. One is that she ran to the left of Bernie Sanders in the 2020 election. I don't know if those are her actual beliefs, Megyn. I don't think she has a particular ideology. I think it almost is giving her too much credit to call her ideological. I think the deeper issue in American politics is that the people we elect to run the government, they're not really even the ones running the government. So in some sense, Biden's cognitive deficits, in the same way they weren't a bug, they were a feature to the people who managed him. The same thing goes for Kamala's policy deficits, right? Her policy deficits aren't really a bug. They're a feature for the people who control her and are likely to continue to control her if she becomes the president.
Did you know that there's nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right. There is still a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months in office. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like we did during COVID. But there is hope. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group can be an inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting the word MK to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax-advantaged status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to potentially tank the dollar even further. Protect your financial future now by diversifying. Text MK to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.